couldn't have an immigrant workforce on the backside, I don't know how horse racing exists. And it's horse racing and a lot of industries. And we need a common sense path to long-term legalization. We're not talking citizenship, but just some kind of work permit. That we would have the perfect scenario is we get an amnesty program that leads to a work permit. That if you go through and you're vetted, you're proven not to be a criminal, that you'll pay your taxes, that you have a sponsor of an employer, that you have the right to work in the United States. That's all we're asking for. And also, we keep hearing in the national news about separating the good from the bad. Well, that brings all the good from out of the shadows, and then what's left are the bad, and they should be deported and should be gone. But it's not only about the people's lives, they're only here to feed their families from Central and South America, but it's also about business. I mean, businesses in this country can't operate without a strong labor force.
What's the specific ask for change for the H-2B visa program? You already have access to it, so what do you else need to say?
We're only eligible for the H-2B visa program, and that's only based on temporary need. And the reason we have temporary need is we move from place to place all the time. It's only a 10-month visa, so everyone that comes here has to go back home. It's a cumbersome system. You have to find people in Central and South America that want to come here and work on the visas. Then you have to get visas allotted to you every year, so you don't know for sure if you're going to get them in the next year. And then they're only here for 10 months once they get here. We just think that there has to be a simpler system. I mean, in a perfect world, I would love to see the government almost running a temp service where somebody in Central and South America applied to the temp service, and then I called them and said, I need 20 workers to come and work at the backside, and they come to me, and it turned the system upside down. Right now, it's cumbersome, it's difficult to stay legal, and it's hard to plan for the future, because every year you're reapplying, every 10 months you're reapplying for new visas, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get them. There's a cap on them, but there's not a cap on need.
How optimistic are you considering how turbulent things are in Washington right now?
I'm optimistic it can happen, because Trump's saying all the right things. He wants to separate the good from the bad. He wants them to go home. He understands the workforce issue that we have in this country. We're at 4% unemployment. I mean, these are people that pay their taxes. They pay into Social Security. They'll never see the benefit of Social Security, but they're paying into it every year. And we might as well make it legal. We can't operate without them. And we can't send them home and ask them to come back. There's nobody to do the work when they're gone.
You said the good and the bad. Well, the government has been doing a great job separating the good from the bad. So what makes you, do you have the concerns that some of your non-criminal backstretch workers just might get swept away?
I think if we get a system in place where they come and apply, and they get to each individually be vetted, and we know they're not bad, we know they're not gang members, we know they're not criminals, we know they've been here for a while, they're working, they're paying their taxes, I think that pulls all the good out. Now the bad will still be left in the shadows. Go hunt them out. If they can't pass the vetting system, then they probably have to go.
But you're talking about congressional action. We're asking about what the president is actually doing.
Everything starts in the White House. This is where we're getting from Washington, D.C. We need congressional action after he approves it. And the White House is the place we need to start. And so if he came up with an amnesty program, we just want to be in on the conversation when he decides to do something.
Does his mercurial nature concern you?
I think he's a businessman at the end of the day. I think that's a positive for us. I don't know if it's as much concern about the welfare of the Central and South Americans, but I think he understands business, and that's what we keep being told, and that business can't operate in this country without a labor force.
You kind of spoke to this, and maybe you can or somebody else, but how much stress do you think is on this community just with everything they see in the press and things happening, and how much stress does that put on just trainers and everybody?
I've worked with immigrant workers my whole life, and I've never seen people under the stress they're going through for the last 6 months. You know, everybody's worried, and like you say, even if they're good people, they're still worried about what could happen. I've never had as many people coming to me and asking me questions.
What are they saying to you?
Well, an example, we were shipping from Florida to Kentucky. You have to go through the weigh stations. They came to me and said, because they travel with the horses. They said, are we going to be taken off and swept away when we cross the border? Is there going to be ICE sitting there waiting? These are legal people too that have work visas that have concerns. It's a very important issue. It's a humanitarian issue, and it's a labor issue, and it's a business issue. And we need to do all we can to get as many people here working legally, paying taxes, and